Welcome everybody, thanks for tuning in. Today's video will just be a casual look at the Paragon board. I'll explain the basics of how it works and the different nodes, and then I'll wrap it up by showing you one of the builds I came up with and some of the reasons for why I chose what I chose. So let's get right into it, okay? The Paragon board is a system that unlocks once you hit level 50. Every 25% of a level you gain after level 50, you earn 1 point to spend on one of these nodes. In total, there's 220 points. You get 200 from going from level 50 to 100, 4 points per level. And then you get 20 extra from renown objectives that you would complete in the different regions of the game. And there's a few different types of nodes that you can spend your points on. The most basic type are these gray ones, which just give basic stats like willpower, intelligence, strength, dexterity. And then there's blue nodes called magic nodes, which offer you more advanced stats like resist all, life percentage, damage, all kinds of different things. There's also gold nodes called rare nodes that are also extremely important. They offer even better stats than the previous nodes and have bonus stats they grant to you if you meet certain requirements. These requirements, such as 160 willpower, include all of the stats that you have from your character's equipped armor and weapons. It doesn't just count the stats from the nodes that you've actually acquired on the board. After the gold nodes, there's actually an orange node that's called a legendary node, and they're scattered. There's throughout different Paragon boards. There's one on each board, except the first starter board. And I'll show you one in a few minutes, but basically there's no complication to them at all. There's no secret requirement or anything like that. You just put 1 point in them and you unlock an extremely powerful ability. But they place them in hard to reach places on the board, so you have to go out of your way to get them. Lastly, on each board there is one glyph socket. This glyph socket is critical to your overall build and power structure basically. The glyphs themselves are found throughout the world in different dungeons or from doing quests, or I don't know if they'll be world drops or what. And you can pick one and you embed it into the glyph socket. Let me show you what one of these glyphs looks like. So I've got Blood Drinker up here. This would be for my hardcore blood necromancer. And basically I would socket this in and it would grant me 50% bonus to all magic nodes within range. So all blue nodes within its range would be 50% more effective. Blood orbs would fortify me. But in order to turn this socket on, I need to have 40 intelligence nodes within its radius. So let's equip it and see what happens here. Okay, so we've selected a glyph, and now you'll notice the red radius is here. And basically within this red radius, we need to have 40 intelligence worth of nodes. So these little gray nodes would count, and any blue ones would count, and any gold ones would count. So we need 40 in total, and then it would turn on the glyph. And keep in mind, the glyph has a plus 50% bonus to all magic nodes within range. So all these blue nodes, we are more enticed to get all of the blue nodes because they're more effective with this particular glyph socketed here. You don't have to get all the blue nodes, but they are more powerful if you do. So this would be a good spot to put this particular glyph if you would like to get all these different nodes. Okay, so we know the basics now. We get it. This is how it all works. Let's unequip the glyph. Let's go back to the start. So you got to pick one of these that's circled red. Okay. So we're going to go pick this one. And since I'm playing a blood necromancer, I think I'm going to go for these defensive nodes first. These are, resist and life. The other side is damage and life. So let's head this way. Let's pick up this. Let's get our first rare node. Now, we're not going to get the bonus on this one yet because we don't have enough dexterity. Unless we have a whole bunch of items that have dexterity, probably not going to get it yet. But pretty soon it'll turn on. It counts all the stuff from your gear like I said before, so it won't take too long. Now we're going to move up the tree further. You'll notice how I skipped this blue node. You don't have to get it. Yes, it's a little bit better than just a basic stat node probably. Maybe early on you should get it, but it's totally up to you as the player. So let's head on up to the glyph. And now we're going to pick our glyph. So we'll go back for Blood Drinker, turn that on, and remember we need 40 intelligence within this radius. Okay, so we've got 5, 10 intelligence from these two. we can go up here and get 10 more from this rare node. So that's 20. There's 15 intelligence sitting over here, but they put them a little bit out of the way. So it's, you know, it's a choice basically, if you want to go grab these or not. Or I can head for 10 more here, but that still only puts us at 30. So they basically force your hand where for me to put this glyph here, I'm going to have to go out of the way a little bit to actually get the 40 intelligence and turn it on. Now, some other places on some other boards might be a better spot for this glyph. That's why this system is incredibly deep. Instead of picking a glyph that requires intelligence, if I had picked one that required willpower or dexterity, they still have gray nodes here, but they also have blue nodes, which are even better, right? They give 7 of each stat instead of 5. So that's something to consider when you're putting these glyphs in. I want this bonus early on, that'd be great, but it might not be the best fit here. So there's lots of brain work going on here, honestly. Okay, so that's enough messing around with this. There's actually a lot of different options that you could explore. So we want as many blue nodes from here as we can get. So let's just say we filled it all out because that's the smart play. And now we're going to move up to the next board. Do we want to go up this side for dex or this side for strength? Neither is our main stat. Intelligence is whatever. Strength for armor, willpower, and then we're going to go to the next board. So they're called board attachment gates. And these give 5 to all stats. And then we'll see what happens when we click this here. So when you click it, you get to select what legendary node will appear on the next board. Let's just find one that applies to our build. I love golems, so let's pick Hulking Monstrosity. And your golem has 30% increased max life and deals 30% increased damage. Awesome. So let's pick that board. And now you'll see it actually attaches this other board to our original one. Can we zoom out here? Yeah. So there's this huge other board that's added on. And you can rotate this thing to kind of select your starting point from any of these gates. Okay? And you'll see that the legendary node is sitting here. It's in an awkward spot. Look at, they put it so you got to pick a whole bunch of boring gray nodes in order to get to it. So the second board that you pick, you got to make sure you really want this thing if you're going to go for it. There are builds where people are just trying to get the glyph sockets as quickly as they can and as many good gold nodes as they can, and they hardly even go for the legendaries. I think it's very class dependent, it's very build dependent, it's what you want as a player for your character. So just to show you how the rotating works, right now the legendary node is, pretty far away from us. We have to kind of wrap around this whole thing to get to it. But you could flip this board around, and I guess we got to flip it around again. And now it's much, much closer to us. You could cut up here and get to the node quickly if that's what you're looking for. They've put a lot of thought into this where maybe you just skip it. Maybe you don't go for this. Maybe you want to get this and the glyph, and you get out going this way. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the choice is yours. You're in control of this. There's so many things you could do. This board, since I picked the golem type legendary node, all the rare nodes and all the blue nodes have to do with golems. So the board is kind of themed by what you've chosen as your legendary. What you take from this board is up to you. I encourage you, don't just copy some streamer build or some shit that some guy on YouTube said. Just experiment with it, have fun with it, like play your character a bit. You're going to be level 50 at least before you can even start doing this, but just have fun with it, experiment. The game's new. Don't just follow some cookie cutter shit. Make your own path. So I've cut the video to a clip of my hardcore blood necromancer build, and I just wanted to walk you through it quickly. You can see how far you can kind of stretch this whole thing. I've used 5 different boards here. I've picked up 4 legendary nodes. I've got a glyph here, a glyph here, a glyph here, and a glyph here. I did not get a 5th one. I'll just walk you through it really quick. The key points here. So early on I took Territorial. This is the starting board. Territorial, increased damage to close targets, damage reduction against close enemies, because I'm playing hardcore early on. Damage reduction is great, and more damage because I plan on using Blood Surge. So obviously pretty good for me. I moved on and I went to a minion board second with the Cult Leader node. I'm buffing my minions basically. 30% increased damage when I have all minion types active, and I plan on having all minion types active, so pretty good for me. You can see how I had to use a bunch of nodes just to get up to this, the way that I started it. You might find a better strategy. Maybe I should have flipped the gate and started here instead. That's what I mean. There's so much flexibility in this. You could probably find a way to get nearly as much as I got here for way less nodes. You can optimize these things, or you could change the order of the boards, etc. But anyway, so I took the Cult Leader one next. So we went up here. We've got minion damage, bunch of that. Damage reduction for my minions, right? And I plugged in Corporal Rare Glyph here. And see, the bonus is Paragon nodes within range gain 40% bonus to their physical damage and damage reduction modifiers, which works perfectly in this slot because minion damage modifiers and damage reduction modifiers. So putting this here is a great spot for it. Putting it down here would have been useless. I managed to dip up here and get minion attack speed, more minion damage, and then up here to get skeleton warrior damage and armor, a little tankier and a little bit more damage out of them. And then that was it for me. I didn't go up here for minion armor and max life. Hopefully I don't need it, but I thought more damage better than more max life. Moved over to the next board, which was for the golem. So now my skeletal minions are good to go. Time to buff the golem. And I grabbed a lot here. The glyph I put in is a 50% bonus to all magic nodes, and blood orbs fortify me. And so this is 17 golem damage, so that's buffed by 50%. These golem damage nodes. And then golem armor was buffed by 50%. The legendary power, of course, was hulking monstrosity. I went down here and got some more damage for me, 10% damage while my golem's active, and more armor for me, so it makes me tankier as well, with some really good passives. We went over here and got golem resists and golem armor, and then up here again, golem damage, max life, more max life damage, etc. So I did not get this damage in golem attack speed, which I kind of really wanted, but couldn't find a good way to get up there. And from this board, I actually went this way first, and I picked, the Blood Orb one to buff my damage, because we'll have a lot of Blood Orbs. And the glyph that I put in here was Skeletal Warriors deal more damage and they get increased attack speed, because there was a lot of dexterity glyphs here. So we loaded up on that. Gives me overpower damage. I do more damage when I pick up a Blood Orb healing, more damage, and more damage while healthy. So this kind of fits with the whole overpowered blood, fortify, blood orb build. So these are all really good for me. And then we moved down to the last board down here. And I took Scent of Death because it's a simple passive. 2 corpses nearby, you gain 15% damage reduction. With no corpses nearby, 15% more damage. It just works. And I could get to it cheaply. So with my last like 20 points here, pretty much, we came in here. I grabbed more damage, just straight damage to healthy enemies. So my initial hit on them is going to do a big chunk more, and then we just wrapped up the whole build with Scent of Death, and that's where I finished off. You could do this over again and come up with something entirely different. Even though you use a lot of the same legendary nodes and the boards are all going to be the same layout, you might have a totally different path. It's beautiful, this system. Alright guys, to bring this video to an end, I just want to say the Paragon system is fun, it's diverse. I encourage you to try it out for yourself, mess around with it a whole bunch. I know I've had a lot of fun, it's killed time, and you know, we're all waiting for the game, so it's been a nice distraction. This is not any kind of final build or anything like that, but yeah, try it out and let me know what you've come up with. You can link your builds in the comments for the video. I'm really curious to see what other people do, how many glyphs they take, how many legendary nodes, how many boards they use. So go ahead, share that with me if you want. And as always, guys, thank you so much for your support. Everyone who's watched the videos, liked the videos, subbed to the videos, commented on the videos. It's been a really interesting experience so far. I've learned a lot, not only about making videos and editing videos, but just about interacting with people and discussing the game. And it's been a blast. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.